In 2008, head coach Mack Brown of the Texas Longhorns brought in an income of around $18 million according to ESPN. Now imagine doing all the work that brought him success, but not receiving anything for doing so. Imagine being a college athlete and having to train and travel while still being expected to complete your academic work on time. Lastly, imagine accepting a scholarship knowing that practice will take up most of the week, leaving no time for a job to help support yourself. College athletes must ask themselves these questions every day. However, not many athletes come from a family that is wealthy, which is why student athletes need to be compensated. Every year, college athletes bring in revenue for their school, and every year those athletes receive none of that money. They only receive their scholarship, a scholarship that they are not even guaranteed to receive the next year. College student athletes need to be compensated because if the coaches make more money, athletes should too. The athletes are doing all the work and bringing in the revenue, yet receiving no benefits, and student athletes do not have time to attend class or find a job. Many argue that student athletes already receive a free education. They start by saying that student athletes who receive scholarships have many advantages. According to the article Beef Up Reforms in College Sports, it states, scholarship athletes are well off compared to other students on campus, as they receive tuition, room and board, and tutoring. This suggests that student athletes should have a higher grade point average. Their grade should be higher than regular students because they are given a tutor, and they don't have to stress about their finances. They should also hold a higher grade point average because they are awarded tutors from the college. However, student athletes have some of the lowest grade point averages at the universities. Demanding practice schedules take a majority of the student athletes' time, leaving them no time to use their resources provided to them. Next, they say that athletes receive a free education in the form of their scholarship to earn a degree that will last them a lifetime. While earning that degree, student athletes are also participating in sports with no worries of debt at the back of their mind. This suggests that scholarship athletes do not have to stress about expenses. This gives them time to focus on their education, which they are receiving for free. Yet student athletes still struggle with having money for their everyday expenses. Between studying and practices, athletes do not have time to hold a stable job. With no source of income, student athletes depend on family, and most of those families cannot support the athlete. The article Pay College Athletes What They're Worth states that many college athletes are from disadvantaged backgrounds and they find it difficult to live on scholarship support alone while attending college. This shows that athletes need another source of income. They simply cannot live off of what the scholarship only provides for books. Moreover, compensating athletes will help them not to worry about finances or when their next meal will be on a team trip. Athletes have to dedicate all of their time to their sport, which gives them no benefits. Compensating athletes will give them those benefits and will also help them perform better in academics and athletics. According to the article, players should be compensated. Athletes should receive their scholarship as well as a monthly stipend for living expenses, insurance coverage, and paid trips trips home during holidays or emergencies. If the NCAA would give athletes a monthly stipend, they would spend their money on purposeful items. In this case, changing the system to compensate college athletes with the revenue they are making is fair. Both the NCAA and student athletes would be profiting. Not only do they argue that they are already receiving a free education, they also argue that it will change the amateur setting of sports. Critics argue that compensating college athletes would take away the competition and fans for college sports. They say that they need to remain amateur because it lets the athletes compete at a high level but still have a positive support academically and athletically. This shows that by letting players have a chance to play amateur, it gives them an opportunity to grow as a player. They are growing into players who could potentially turn professional. If they don't go professional, then they still have that degree to fall back on. However, some athletes do not have a positive support group like many believe. In some cases, athletes have had to drop a necessary course to graduate because it interfered with their practice schedule. Compensating these players is necessary because dropping a class is altering their chance of receiving a degree and graduating. Lastly, paying college athletes would alter the sports world. College athletes are considered to be the only amateur setting left. By compensating those athletes, they would cross the line into professionalism and lose the interest of playing and being successful as a team. They would rather play for themselves to earn a higher income. However, if the NCAA has strict guidelines to how an athlete may be compensated, they could keep the boundaries to an amateur setting rather than a professional. This could then be the income that the many athletes are struggling to find, and they could finally provide for themselves. As a result of potentially compensating these players, the universities could grow as well as keep the amateur setting around them. It is clear that college athletes should be compensated. These athletes are bringing in revenue for their school by winning games, selling tickets, and showing off their talents, yet they are not seeing any of the money come to them. Student athletes do not have time to attend class because of demanding practice schedules and traveling. As a result, athletic directors need to step forward proposing the idea that each student athlete will receive a monthly stipend along with their athletic scholarship so that athletes can focus on academics and their sport. NCAA fans need to reach out to their school's athletic directors and urge them to compensate players now. Mack Brown would have been more successful if his team was paid to play. By paying the players, it will give them more motivation, causing them to win, and therefore bringing in more revenue for their school. In the end, both the university and the student athlete would benefit.